Nothing shakes up an FLW Tour leaderboard on Lake Okeechobee like a little cold front. What were calm, warm waters yesterday were choppy, cool waters today. Today's northeast winds blew to nearly 20 miles an hour, the water temperatures dropped some 7 degrees, and so did the weights. The top spot shuffled again, and now Drew Benton is the tournament leader. Drew, couple back-to-back, nice 23-pound days, but the wind picked up today. Conditions changed out there, but still not a bad stringer for surviving the kind of day you had today.
Yeah, that was the goal going into today after I got to my first spot and seen that it was just totally unfishable. We run about 15 miles and got down there and just had to turn around and basically come back. The camera boat was behind us for a little while, and I guess he said he's crazy, and he quit. But we got down there and it just wasn't happening. So I run to another area. Hadn't even fished all tournament, and got in there and caught one off the bed pretty quick that I seen yesterday. It was about a 4.5 pounder. And then after that, I just threw that bass assassin vapor shad and the dye dapper around and culled up a limit. And nothing real big, but it was enough to survive, I feel like. And tomorrow, if the wind switches out of the southeast like they're talking, we can knock their lights out tomorrow.
That's what you kind of been waiting on, is that kind of wind.
Yeah, all week it's been like that, and I've kind of been holding off. I've gone over there and caught a couple each day and not really, leaned on it. Tomorrow I'm going to crush them.
Are you worried that this wind that we had today is kind of a heavy northeast, sometimes gusting up to 17, may have ruined that area in there?
I don't think so. It stays stained up, and I'm actually catching them in the stained water to begin with, so I don't feel like that's the problem. I just don't think that they like the wind necessarily beating them up and the waves crashing in there on them.
What kind of fishing is that? Is that sight fishing or is it pitching and stuff?
No, I'm throwing a PGM Lures chatterbait type bait. It's a bladed swim jig, white and chartreuse, and I'm putting that Bass Assassin dye dapper on as a trailer. It's a big profile and it vibrates, gets a lot of vibration, and it's kind of like, I'm working it like a rattle trap, like you would yo-yoing a rattle trap through there. And every time it drops down a big one, we'll crush it if it's there. But it's just a matter of getting in front of them, and when they're there, they eat it good.
Rick, 2 fantastic previous days. This morning you rolled in there, caught a nice one right off the bat, and it was kind of all downhill from there. Had a lot of wind in there. What was the difference?
It's just really tough to make the right cast. You got to pitch that 1 ounce jig in there without making a splash and without hitting one of them reeds. And man, with a 20-mile-an-hour wind, that's just not, and 25, 30 foot away from it, it's not easy to do.
Now, so you think it was more about not being able to make the right presentation, or you think the fish, because of the wind, because of the water chilling off a little bit, the fish moved, or you think the fish are still there?
I think the fish are still there, because I had 4 other bites that I just couldn't, I didn't get them. So I think the fish are there. That just wasn't aggressive.
So what about tomorrow? What do you think about? What are you thinking about tomorrow right now? You went up there, fished all day, didn't do real good. What's going through your mind for tomorrow?
I think I'm going to have to run up there again tomorrow, but I stayed way too long today. I'll give myself maybe a couple hours tomorrow up there, and then I'm headed back down to this end of the lake and get into some protected waters.
Okay. But do you think that the kind of stringers you've been catching is available down the lake?
I don't. No, I don't. I think that's my best shot at another big stringer, and I'll go in there tomorrow and swing for the fence.
Now that we're late in the tournament here, you said you've been pitching a 1 ounce jig mostly all week to those reed heads?
I've been pitching a 1 ounce jig and just switching back and forth between a couple of them.
Brent, Florida's always been a kind of a struggle for you this week. Redemption time. You're getting the Florida monkey off your back. Man, you're on fire down here. What have you figured out about this place that's finally made the difference?
I don't think I figured out anything different. I think I just finally got around them. I don't think I've learned anything, to be honest with you. Okay. Maybe a few things. The thing that's different is that I've gone to areas where I maybe had a bite, or in practice, or I had one spot where I thought I had a bite, but it looked right, and I went there and caught a 3 and a 5 yesterday and lost a real big one. So, seeing a couple things that I thought looked right and then go back after it warmed up helped. But again, I just got fortunate this week to actually get around them.
Yesterday, you told me that the only big bite you got in practice was a 5-pounder on the very last day. Seems like sometimes here in Florida, it's almost about leading, trying to figure out where the fish are going to and going to be, and you kind of hit the mark, leading the pigeons, so to speak.
I think for me, it was just a case of going to an area where I really thought there was just fish there, and I didn't feel like they were moving there, or going there, or leaving there. I just felt like that was the only place I could catch them, and I went there and I caught them,
Okay.
And I was able to, go back to what we talk about all the time, float around a little bit and fish other stuff that I didn't catch them on, and catch a few fish that, have made it to weigh-in. So, and then, having just a few key bites on stuff that I didn't know was any good, and go back and actually catch them. So, I'm just fortunate to be here. Really, I don't have this exact one spot where I think I'm going to catch them. I have no clue where the bite's going to come from next, and I don't know how big it's going to be. And so I'm just fortunate there's a lot of big ones around. I'm happening to, get one a day.
You've been fishing pretty much the same general area all week?
I have been. I've been fishing, same general area, and mixing it up. I go out, I fish grass lines, I come in, I fish reeds, and go back and forth. If I don't get a bite for a while, I go do something else, or I just feel like I want to break up the monotony of doing one thing. I get kind of bored of it, and so I go and do something else.
Some of those reed heads you're fishing, have you ever had any specific reed head that's produced multiple big fish for you, or has it always been a different reed head? You just had no idea there was going to be one there?
It's been different. The first day I caught a one almost 6 and one almost 5, real close to each other.
Okay.
And then I went back the next day. My co-angler caught a 6 there, and so I thought that was going to be a spot, and I never got a bite there today. I pulled into an area today that I caught a 3-pounder the other day, and I caught an 8 today. So you never know where it's going to happen or when it's going to happen, And a couple times you get just so caught up in catching some of those little 12-inchers that you kind of just barely set the hook, and it doesn't move, and it's a giant one. You're not expecting it, so you really don't know when or where it's going to happen.
Right. We had a little wind this morning, not a little wind, a lot of wind. When you got in there this morning and saw how windy it was, were you concerned that the bite might change?
Yeah, I was worried. I started differently than I have been today, and I caught a limit fairly quick, and then I changed up and I went and started flipping, and I go, man, it's just too windy. It's not gonna happen. And about my third flip, I caught an 8.5. So, okay. I kind of don't really know when it's gonna happen. I know there's a lot of big ones there, and if I put my head down, hopefully by the end of the day, I'll get 1 or 2 of those big bites. If I do, I'll have a good stringer. But if I don't, I'll have 7, 10 pounds.
Weighed yesterday, 24 pounds today. Not so good. Looks like the wind might have hurt you a little bit.
Absolutely. The wind, this high pressure here, this bluebird day kind of turned the fish off, but I stuck with them and really just tried to grind it out, and I got the bites, but it was just so difficult to get the fish into the boat today. I got one good kicker bite today, hoping that it's enough to keep me in the top 10, and after the end of the day, I made a switch to some crankbait fish. They were turned off as well, so I'm hoping the bite was slow for everybody so that I can sneak in.
I hear you. It looked like you had kind of a place to yourself. A lot of guys up on the north end, a lot of guys in the Harney Pond area, but you had a little place down there pretty much to yourself.
Yeah, I was looking forward to that today for the first time. I was sharing it with another boat during the qualifier, but as far as the conditions, if I'm blessed for tomorrow and I'm able to fish, I'm hoping that no locals go in there and these fish stabilize a little bit. And I'm really confident I can get a couple more good bites out of there.
This week, some of the key baits for you have been you said like a zoom, a zoom swimming fluke, and today you went to a jig.
Yes, yesterday I caught them on top when we had that cloud cover, and they were just absolutely exploding on the bait. And today they just wouldn't come up, so I had to go subsurface. Went to flipping them out with the jig, and I lost a few fish doing it too. So I know they'll eat it. It's just got to get them in the boat.